Hola, mi gente. In this Tuesday's episode, I would like to talk to you more about one of the reasons why I'm doing this podcast. One of the reasons why, despite all my efforts to tell my story, to tell my father's story, my sense, my experience is that I am invisible. I am inaudible. People, when they see me, see a black woman, an African woman. And when they see me up close, they see a black African woman with a disability who is physically challenged. All of that, Niente, it's a lot. Then when you start to tell a story that is, I'm not be presumptuous, but unique, very, very different. It is hard for people to hear it because there is the blackness, there is the Africanness, and there is the disability. Three huge, huge things. People can't get past those things. It's almost impossible, Niente. Blackness, Africanness, disability. And then I have to add the gender. I'm a woman. Blackness, Africanness, disability, gender. Four things. Then you add your dad's story. Blackness, African men in a polygamous relationship, a lot of wives, a lot of kids, and billionaire, African billionaire. How can you tell a story and be heard when you have all of those components? How? Even for Africans, they stop at the billionaire part or the disability part. It makes you, Miante, invisible. I'm an invisible woman. And that's the title of this episode, Miante. Invisible woman. How? How do I tell this story when there are all of those components that make it very, very, very difficult to understand? You talk about Africa. Even when you left Africa when you were 14, you can talk about blackness. But then again, Miante, there are people who talk about blackness better than I do. You can talk about gender. But then again, is it really a gender question? You can talk about disability. There are people who talk about disability better than I do because they have a different story. And my story, in my story, disability is always poo-pooed. How do you even start? You know, I've made 2 episodes about how do you tell an African story. But almost 2 months after, I still struggle with my invisibility. I struggle with this, Miante. When I was in 11th grade, that's what my second year in America, we were reading Ralph Ellison, The Invisible Man. And I didn't really like the book. I couldn't relate to what he was telling. But at some point during the discussion in my English class, one of the students made a comment about, yeah, but we never really gonna be able to understand what blackness feels like because the one we have in the class never speaks. And it was at the end of the class, so I couldn't really respond. I remember that I felt small. I didn't know why, but I felt small. And the next day, the next class, I said to the teacher, to my English professor, 11th grade, I said to her, I want to speak. I never spoke. The teacher said, yes, I was going to address it anyway. And I said, my role is not to explain to you how it feels to be black. That is not my role. I am not in this school to explain to you guys blackness. I wouldn't know how. It is insulting, very reductive to say to me you have to explain blackness to me. And to expect me to make you understand a book as complex as Ralph Ellison, Invisible Man. And the class was very, very silent. It was very, very uncomfortable. I don't think that we got past what happened in the class. I don't think I did a good job because I was inequipped to even address that issue where people expect you to explain something that is unexplainable, something that has nothing to do with you. You are you, and people expect you to explain the whole thing. That's why, Miente, I feel like an invisible woman. My personal experience here, more often than not, is like poo-pooed. People are able to use one of those things to basically dismiss it and to say to me, no, you are this, you are that. So what you are telling us doesn't matter. I start with this burden. Blackness, Africanness, disability, gender, my dad, his story, many wives, many kids, Cameroon, all of this. And I'm here talking about my personal story. And people don't want to hear it. They're going to use one of those things. There's so many of them. They're going to talk to you about your dad. They're going to say, oh, he made this money this way. Oh my God, politics. Boom. Or they're going to say, oh, he was rich. The money. Africa. That's the way. Cameroon. Blackness. Disability. Yeah, so what? You had a rich dad. Wealthy dad. So what? What? There are more injustices in the world. Suck it up. They don't say it like that, but that's what it means. I haven't had yet, me and this, a conversation where people hurt me. There is always something not to focus on what I say. I remember, me and 6 years ago, when, in Brussels, after my third surgery in 6 years, I decide I have no choice. I have to make my disability recognized by the Belgian state. And I go to this office with this doctor. He pulls my leg, my amputated leg, and it says, there's no mobility here. And he gives me one of the highest score in terms of disability because he says, yeah, you have limits. That was the last time, that somebody said to me, your disability, its severity, is not in your head. Your disability and its severity, which has great impact on your life, is not in your head. It is a reality that none of those things, blackness, Africanness, my dad's wealth, my gender, can make go away. Yet, Miante, people are able to make it go away. That's the reason why I'm doing this podcast. I'm an obstacle to my own story. People are really able to focus on something to basically say, whoop, 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 whoop. It doesn't matter. Even when I'm able to overcome the obstacles, even I'm able to be extremely strong, to be resilient, not to give up, my own strength is being turned against me because people are like, so what? You're overcoming it. You have been able to make it so far. Why are you complaining? Why are you being negative? People expect me to have this incredible strength, to be a Wonder Woman. And yet they're going to be like, yeah, but whatever, African woman. Yeah, what's she complaining about? It's her dad wealth. Whatever. I can't win. I'm invisible. People are not able to even listen to my story, to even ask me specific question about my story. Immediately, there is going to be something that is going to make them say, oh, it's not that bad. Oh, no, she doesn't want to do this, she doesn't want to do that. Even when you are able to just take a minute, you're going to say, oh my God, the resilience that it takes to just keep talking, to keep at it. It's amazing. But then people are going to dismiss it and say, oh, okay, I get it. She's Fotso Victor's daughter. It's money. So, because Miante, if you hear me, if you see me, then you have to ask questions, tough questions. What happened here? What happened here? What happened to the daughter of Fotso Victor? What happened to him? How could the Belgian state let this happen? How could the Brussels bar let this happen? How could the DC, the Washington DC Bar Association, let this happen? How is it possible? Is it just because I don't know how, I don't know how to do shit? I don't know how to do lawyering? I'm a shitty lawyer? I'm a shitty writer? I'm really asking the question. Is any one of you listening think that when a black African disabled woman takes all the risk to talk about her story, the problem is her? You think if you choose to just say, okay, something shitty happened here, do you think you can just dismiss it by saying, oh, the problem is her? All of those people, none of them, intervene to say, yeah, no, stop here. You're going too far. Do you think this is just a family thing? A personal thing? When what I'm saying to you is that because I tried to save my dad, an African legend, Fotso Victor, Google his name, that the trouble is just that I wasn't good or strong enough? Really? Invisible. In Ralph Ellison book, all type of shitty shit happens to the narrator. And what he's trying to make the point that there's nothing he can do because shit happens to, he's not even visible. I have gone through stuff that no other disabled person in the West would be allowed to go through without somebody saying no. It is against our values. I'm not even talking about Africa here. The prejudice in Cameroon against the disabled, the way Cameroonians and maybe Africans, probably Africans, view themselves is exported and make it possible for people in the West, France, Belgium, Switzerland, all of those countries, even America, to then say, okay, it's not a normal situation. She's not the typical person who is physically challenged, who is disabled. She comes with this baggage, which make it possible for us to let shit happen. To let shit happen. And the point, Miante, that I'm trying to make, because I'm an invisible woman, because I'm the queen of denial, people are just able to just say, okay, and to live with it comfortably. Say, oh, okay, whatever. There was money there once, so she's surviving, so everything is fine. I can't guarantee that I will be able to be Superwoman, that I'll be able to be Wonder Woman, forever. And I'm leaving a record so that this podcast, when my own story would crush me, when I will not be able to just keep on carrying my dad's story, that people won't be able to say, we didn't know. We didn't know. She didn't try to make herself heard. She didn't fight. That's the point, Miante. I'm making this podcast so nobody will be able to say, I didn't know. Nobody in Cameroon, nobody in France, nobody in Belgium, nobody in the US, nobody anywhere else, nobody in Switzerland would be able to say, she didn't say it to us. We didn't know. We didn't know. There was no way we could try to do our job. There was no way we could do our part. To stop an injustice that has lasted too long. This is not complicated. Wealthy dad, physically challenged daughter, who's been exploded because they knew that it was easy and that nobody would stop them and that they could just grab whatever they could of Fotso Victor's estate. The money. You can try to explain it by all, Africa, oh my God, all the chaos, Africans are not able to be disciplined, all of this. No. A huge part of it happens in the West. I've been living in Africa since 1993. What has happened to me, the violence of it, the inhumanity happened in the West. And in spite of the fact that I wrote, that I talked, they let it happen because they said to themselves, she's African, she's disabled. Nobody will say shit. I'm going to make this point again. If I were white, this would have never happened. And if it happened, everybody would be outraged. People expect me to just move on, move past my tragedy and just, grow up already. You're African. You're an African disabled woman. This type of shit happens every day. Get past it already. Do something else. You're a lawyer. Do lawyering. Write books. Move on. Leave us alone. We don't care. And I'm like, no. I'm going to make you care. This isn't just. I'm not going to stop talking just because it's bothering you. I'm not going to just basically live with this. Move on. Just because it's too tough for you to talk about this. I'm not going to be the woman who's been sacrificed so that everything just remains the same, peaceful. And why do people feel that they have the right to tell me, to accept an injustice, find a way to swallow it, and to just live with it? It is the way it is. Tough luck. You're black. You're African. You're disabled. You're a woman. But you're not in Cameroon, so it's fine. It's fine. Find a way to live with it. Move past it. Make something positive out of it. So we can feel good. We don't want to feel bad for you. Dad was Fotso Victor. We don't, no. Your dad was an African billionaire. We don't want to feel sorry for you. We don't want to help. Get past it. Guys, no. No. I'm not going to be the egg used to make the omelet. I'm rereading Ralph Ellison, Invisible Man. I'm not sure if I like it, but at last, I can't relate. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast Miente, and see you Thursday